Today we are working on tutorial number 10 for our Flask app from scratch. And today I wanted to talk about followers and showing you how to create the user followers functionality. But I noticed that in the app that we are working on, is not fully accessible to the blind. I was using the screen reader, and some of the fields were not being shown in the screen reader. So I changed the plan, and I tried creating a search form on top of the user profile. Here we have the user profile. I already completed the follower and following functionality for the user, but I haven't. I just ignored the screen reader functionality, which is not a good idea, especially for me. I'm a blind person. I use screen readers a lot, so this is pretty important for me. So I was testing the application today, and I'm using a Mac computer, and for some reason the Mac computer, the screen reader that comes with the Mac, is not. It has a lot of bugs, a lot of stupid features that I don't understand why people who created the screen reader for the Mac are not. They're not actually paying attention to it. So I was trying to code the tutorial for the tutorial. I was trying to code for the tutorial, and I was trying to tackle the bugs that the screen reader has, the voiceover screen reader has simultaneously. So it took me a long time to understand how the screen reader in the Mac is different than Windows. For a long time, I used JAWS for the screen reader in Windows, and that's a lot more polished, a lot more refined. It has almost no bugs. But for Apple, ignored the screen reader for Mac. For the iPhone and the iOS devices, it is absolutely the best. The screen reader for the iOS is the best, and I have zero complaints in that. But for Mac, I don't understand why they're not actually paying attention. I learned that through Googling and asking ChatGPT and these AIs, I learned in order to turn on in order to see the elements inside the page, what you would do after you turn on the voiceover. Voiceover on Chrome, Max profile vertical line. What you would do is you will hold down Control Option Command, and then you will click the arrow keys, left or right arrow keys, to what's going on in the page. For example, now if we cycle through, words, it will show us the words, window spots, the window spots, navigation, characters, words, window spots, navigation, characters, words. And when you click the our search box, let's say I want to search user Paul. For sighted people, what they do is they hit enter, right? And the form will be submitted. But if you are using a screen reader like I do, you would tab. You would click tab submit search to access the submit button. So when I hit press enter, user profile and hosts name Paul profile picture Paul's email addresses Paul@cologs.net Paul joined May 29, 2025 bio no bio available view profile user statistics group. You are currently on a select group. As you can see, VoiceOver would read the content in the page. It will read it. The reason I have a lot of control space PyCharm code logs username. The reason I have a lot of HTML templates inside the user templates. The reason I have it is because I'm trying to avoid JavaScript. If we use JavaScript, if we were just like, if we were only concerned for sighted people, we didn't care about the blind people using screen readers. If we only concerned with them, then all these template files would have been condensed to maybe one or three, because all we have to do is just dynamically change the page content, by using the JavaScript event listeners. We could just like dynamically change it. We can swap the contents inside here, just like social media applications do. But because VoiceOver and JAWS and NVDA and other screen readers, they want to know what is going on in the screen, on the screen at all times. You have to consider their functionality too. In our case, in this form, I created inside the user HTML. Here's the style that I have. I also have a dedicated styles for the template. I stored in the user's static folder. Here is the form, the search form that you saw, and here is the area labels and area descriptions. This is just the common thing, right? Here is the screen reader compatibility. Here we add area-live, and we say it polite to make sure that the screen reader, whatever screen reader that the person is using, is tracking as this containers change. And you see this border, this blue border. This blue border is only, I added this because I want to make sure that the screen reader is focused in that area. Because I tried before this, I tried to just not have the focus and assume that the VoiceOver and the screen reader will just like find the content, but it couldn't find it. I could physically see with my remaining eyesight. I could see the card and the content, but VoiceOver would say blank. It couldn't find it. I don't know if that has to do with VoiceOver itself, or it has to do with me not understanding how to interface with the accessibility, the browser accessibility API, because this would be important aspect to think about if you are writing a screen reader for the blind. You have to make sure nowadays that the dynamic content that's being generated should be tracked by the screen reader. Initially, I wanted to talk about followers and following, but because search of the user is important, searching things is important in our application. Going forward, I thought that would be a good idea to talk about the search functionality, so that the application is fully accessible for the blind. If you don't care about accessibility, maybe this episode and this tutorial is probably not going to be useful for you. You can probably skip it. For me, someone who writes code, who is blind, who relies on screen readers, this is very important for me. Without screen readers, I could literally not use any computer at all. So it is very important. So like I said, I already created the follower and following functionality. Let's talk about it briefly. I will talk about it in a dedicated tutorial. Here in our model file, we have the users table. But before that, we created a relationship table here, and the table will track the users that are following other users. And the reason that we created here the followers is a little bit different than other tables, is because the user table is referencing itself. It's a self-referential table. The user wants to follow other users there is no other table that we can refer to. We are referring to itself. So a user can follow other users, and other users can follow the same users. So we have to create this table. We call it followers, and it will take the follower ID and followed ID. So this will actually answer the two questions that we would have for any user. How many followers that a user has, we look the follower ID. How many users that this user follow, we look the followed ID. And here is a timestamp. And here inside the user table, we have followed relationship, and we get the followers. We get the followers relationship here. And inside the primary join, we will get the follower ID and the followed ID simultaneously. So we know that whenever we want to know how many users that follow this particular user, this relationship will answer it. And here is a function that will allow us to add followers, to populate the followers. And here I created a separate table called follow. And this is to track the time a particular user followed another user. This is a separate table. So it will track the follower ID and followed ID, and it will also store the action that happened. And here is the unfollow function that we will call this when we want to unfollow another user. And here is the event. The follow event. This function will check if a current user is following another user. And here I use the @property. @property is called computed attribute. It's a way to check, is to use the function, this function, instead of when you want to call the user get followers count. Normally you would call it like this if you remove the @property. But now that you added the @property, you would remove this. And anytime you want to call this function, you would remove the parentheses, because it is part of the class itself now. It's a computed property. And it's the same thing here. Get following count, get followers count. And here I created another function that will track if two users have another user in common. They follow another user in common. They have mutuals, what they call it. Sometimes when you are observing like Twitter or Instagram or any other social media app, you follow somebody and you want to follow another person, a third person, and the application will tell you if that other person is also following the other person that you follow. You have like mutual connection each other. So this function will tell us that if there is like mutuals, and this will check if two users have the same mutuals. And here is the online, if the user is online. And this table I created is called follow, and it will create an ID, follower ID, followed ID. It will store the action that when either a follow or unfollow is called, a timestamp obviously. And here we will call the follower or followed names here. This is really important, the search functionality, to make it, the search functionality to be accessible to the blind. It is very important. I see a lot of websites that I regularly go. They don't care about the blind. They don't care about accessibility. You see, you type something and there is already entire page and screen reader cannot see it. And the blind person, it's just like sitting there thinking like there's no content there. There's no content. You are a web developer. I really urge you to consider blind when you are writing code, because this is how we access the web, to rely on screen readers. These are the templates I created, following followers templates, and I also created a couple of special files. Like I created a JavaScript file for the username search. I created in the username search, we get the form and we check if the form exists, and if it is, then we would send a fetch request to our search function, Also, I forgot in the user's blueprint routes file, I added this function, which essentially searches our app, and it will return a JSON. We first have to import Sonify from Flask. So here in this function, whenever we call from our JavaScript code, it will check if the username pass is actually a user that exists. If so, then we will return a JSON data. We will return the username, the email, the joined on the date, the profile, the URL, the thumbnail URL, its online status. We return the edit profile URL, following count, and all of that. We just return the basic fields. And just briefly, I want to talk about the other functions that I created. Here is the addition for this tutorial. Here is the addition, follow and followers. So I created a follow function. It will take a username. It will check if the username exists. Then we have a form. We validate the form, the current user. We essentially unfollow the user, and we record the event, the unfollow event, using our follow table, and we inform the user that they unfollowed the user. Else, if the user is not following the user, then we follow. If they're already following the user using this if statement, if they're already following the user, then we unfollow them. But if they are not following, then we follow them. Here is another function to unfollow. We essentially do the same thing, but in reverse. We check if the user is following, and if they are, then we unfollow. Otherwise, we just inform them you are not following the user. We are only concerned if they are already following the user. If they are, then we unfollow them. And here is the followers to query the followers, any user's followers. Here is the following function to get the following list of any user. And here is the search function. It will get the username. It will check if the username exists. Otherwise, it will show an error. Then we will return a JSON. I think the most important thing that I want to tell you in this tutorial is that Mac computers doesn't have a good screen reader. And second, that I try making the website search functionality blind friendly by making screen reader friendly, and that's what occupied the entire day of my. I coded a lot today. I have been coding for about 3 hours now, and the reason is that because I was trying to make it screen reader friendly. So thank you for watching this rambling video. I just wanted to let you know that followers and following tutorial will come tomorrow. Today I was just talking about search functionality. I will put this in the description, the GitHub link, so you can see what I did, and you can copy and you can test it in your computer. If you find this helpful, please subscribe. Please give this video a like. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.